No. Ha! Got it. Okay, perfect. We do have the feature match available, so let's just go ahead and start. Just dig right into it.
So this is round 13.
Right. Okay.
Leo. And I think James is going to join us later for the top 8. Jarvis might make a sneak appearance, but we're not sure yet.
Right, so Jarvis went to go play in an actual event today, so depending on how fast he crushes it, he may be able to sneak in for like a round or two. We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing, no putting any spoilers into the chat. Any person who puts any spoilers is going to get permabanned from my life, from Twitch. I'm going to come find you, and I'm going to come pee in your bed. So
Bob pees in my bed quite frequently.
No, that's you.
That's me, actually. Never mind. Well, it looks like both players are shuffling up. Kind of excited. Gosh, after watching Yuya play Miracles yesterday,
that was great.
I just wanna go out and play like in a big GP or like some 9 or 10 round tournament.
Hey, we have one coming up. It's in about a month.
Yeah, it's actually it's crazy. So GP Louisville on the first weekend of January. Doesn't feel like it's already here. Like, it's just like it felt like it was a month. I'm sorry, like 6 months away, and now it's just like knocking up on us. So,
You think you're gonna play?
I don't know, man. This is a tough choice. Oh, I might play this deck.
No, I think you're gonna play the other deck. I think you're gonna play Elves. It's Elves.
Wait.
Ooh, with blue. With Leovold.
All right.
All right.
So Leovold is one of the newer cards that came out in Conspiracy 2. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but it functions as like a pseudo Spirit of the Labyrinth, combined with what's the other card? Rain Academy Chancellor.
I don't know that card.
Okay.
All right. So it's like the target part.
Yeah, exactly. Oops. No. What did I do? All right. Well, whatever. We'll get back to that. So both players are starting. Nobuo leads with just a Tundra, and Akira is going to follow with Nettle Sentinel into a Wirewood Symbiote. Is that a Pendlehaven in play? Nice. Blind Terminus?
Always a good one.
That's always a good one. Now, while it was blind, Wirewood Symbiote was able to activate its ability to return an elf and untap a creature, so the Nettle Sentinel was protected from the Terminus, effectively making it a 1-for-1. So Akira is not necessarily at a disadvantage.
So what are the key cards in this matchup?
So
Game 1.
On the Miracle side, I mean, the namesake cards are obviously very critical. Terminus is very good against this Elves deck. Sensei's Divining Top and Counterbalance are very good, and the reason being is that the Elves deck is fundamentally a combo deck that plays a bunch of... It's like a big mana combo deck that plays a bunch of 1 mana and 2 mana spells. And so Sensei's Divining Top and Counterbalance combined together are very good against it.
So, I was just going to ask, what do you think of forcing this? Because he already has the Visionary out, and so that because he has no removal in his hand, it's just going to get out of hand really quickly, especially if he has a Gaia's Cradle. So he had to burn a Force here, otherwise the Elves player was going to draw, up to 3 cards a turn, probably. Right.
So the way it works is that Elvish Visionary says when it comes into play, you draw a card. Wirewood Symbiote says you can return an elf to your hand to untap a creature. So effectively, you can, every turn, including your opponent's turn, you can bounce, a Visionary to your hand and just recast it the next turn and sort of cycle through your deck to get to the better cards. Now, personally, from the Miracle side, I don't think I would Force of Will the Wirewood Symbiote. I think in this matchup, you need to respect some of the bigger cards, the kill cards in the Elves deck, which are Glimpse of Nature, which fuels the combo. Glimpse of Nature lets you draw a card every time you cast a creature spell, and then there's Natural Order, which sacks a creature to search for typically Craterhoof Behemoth, which swings for a lethal attack. I definitely think if you only have 1 Force of Will, I would much rather just save it for either of those cards, just so that you can stay alive. Okay, and it looks
going for a blind predict here.
Ooh, and he's targeting his opponent. That's pretty sweet.
What do you like? Don't you typically just want to target yourself so then you can mill cards for Snapcaster if there's no information on either side?
Yeah, and typically speaking, the reason you predict yourself also is because you know how your deck is constructed. You know which cards there are 4 of. in your list.
I suppose targeting the elves opponent, maybe you could mill a natural order target, but typically they just run 2 Crater Hoofs anyways.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think I like that. And also, but back to what you were saying earlier, though, if he didn't force the symbiote, the elves player did end up having Cradle, so he'd be drawing a lot of cards.
Right.
And so I think it's not a play you want to make, but I think it's a play he was almost forced into making. I think it was the right call here. Or do you still disagree? Because he's drawing so many cards.
Yeah,
and so you can draw multiple glimpses, multiple natural orders.
Right. So game 1, I think what's important is it's relative to how fast you have access to countertop.
It looks like he's about to drop it right here.
Right. Yeah, and I'm interested to see why he spun the top of his deck instead of just casting the counterbalance.
Right, because then you can leave. Oh wow, looks like he's actually not. No, he is. Yeah, there wasn't no reason to get a basic in this matchup.
Right. At least game 1 there isn't. There's no way to get punished by Wasteland or anything like that. I think countertop invalidates a little bit of the recursion that they've got going on, because if you can find a 2-drop on top of your deck outside of Cavernous Souls, the Elvish Visionary won't be resolving again.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you can find Swords to Plowshares as well, you can kill the Wirewood Symbiote, and then they can't infinitely bounce the Elvish Visionary.
This is interesting. He didn't play the counterbalance. He's holding up the top spin. I'm going to take a little bit of damage here, which is fine.
Right. This is pretty interesting. If I was in that position, I would probably I would have cast the counterbalance, the last turn for sure.
Right, because then you lock him out on 1s.
Right, yeah.
But it looks like he found an engineered explosives, so he's probably going to just EE to blow up Symbiote and the Nettle Sentinel.
Right, so
the downside is the Symbiote's going to bounce the Elvish Visionary, and so he's going to get at least 1 more card.
Right, so the Green Sun Zenith was cast for X = 1, so he's going to search for, the Wirewood Symbiote. The good news here is, though, that the Elvish Visionary is already sort of immune to EE on 1 anyways, because it's MC2. But
could have kept the Cradle first, because now he loses a mana.
Right.
But either way, maybe he didn't want to.
Yeah. Very interesting.
So yeah, as the Miracles player, what do you do? Was there a 1 on top? There's no 2.
Right.
So do you blow up the Wirewood Symbiote, and then you don't get to land counterbalance for another turn? Or no, you do. You get to play a land.
Right.
So you get to have both in play.
Right.
But we'll see. Last turn
Ooh, that's a problem though, because you do lose the top card. Yeah. So Sensei's Divining Top is also one mana spell.
Okay, so he's gonna lock him out on 1s.
Right.
Which seems good. Seems good enough.
Oh, and that's actually that's a good heads up play. So Akira chooses just to bounce the Nettle Sentinel. That way he doesn't lose both of his creatures. However, this means he does lose out on the opportunity of drawing another card off the Elvish Visionary. So it's interesting to see how he prioritizes which creatures are necessary to expedite the comboing off process.
It looks like he's gonna go for Leovold here. Going for Greenson for 3. Oh, for Rex Sage. There you go.
Right.
Even better.
And Reclamation Sage will be able to handle this counterbalance and allow Akira to continue playing spells.
So it looks like Akira, by returning the Nettle Sentinel, it's weird because the Elvish Visionary would have given him a card as well. So that's basically saying he prefers the Nettle Sentinel to a random card. And it's slightly more mana efficient.
Right, so Nettle Sentinel is pretty good in this deck because every time you cast a green spell, you can untap the Nettle Sentinel. And this is especially interesting when you are comboing off with something like Glimpse of Nature. If you have like a Birchlore Ranger on the field, there it is, Glimpse of Nature right now. Maybe we'll get to see a little bit of the Nettle Sentinel combo. But Birchlore Ranger lets you, and Heritage Druid as well, lets you tap elves to generate mana. And so if you're able to, tap the Nettle Sentinel, play an elf, untap the Nettle Sentinel, you can see how you can just keep tapping and untapping the Nettle Sentinel to generate a lot of mana.
here. Predict or what?
Yeah, Snapcaster Mage is. It looks like it's going after a 2-mana spell, which is probably Predict. Yeah, okay.
So it gives him a couple cards. Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
He potentially missed out on a Terminus trigger, but Terminus wouldn't be that good here anyways. But it's too late.
Yeah.
I also couldn't tell if Terminus was the first card or the second card. But yeah, it is one thing you want to be mindful of.
It does look like it was on top of the deck.
Okay, and so he has no blue card, so even if he finds a Force of Will, it's not going to do him any good.
Right.
So he's going to just have to sit back and hopefully hope to survive this turn.
Mm-hmm. Slightly unfortunate, but...
I think the Elves player's chances be pretty good here.
Right, so now, because Miracles has cast the... Predict. He's drawn a card for turn, so the Elves player knows now that, you know, for the rest of the turn, he doesn't need to worry about anything like a Terminus, because you know, the Miracle trigger on Terminus only applies for the first when it is the first card that is drawn for the turn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If he draws another card now, it would be the third card drawn for the turn, and you know that doesn't meet the criteria. So the real potent card here is actually Gaia's Cradle.
It looks like he's gonna go ahead and tap it now.
Right.
Because I think he has a Leah Vold in his hand. What else?
Whoa!
Whoa! Is this a main deck Nissa? What's going on here? Which Nissa is this?
I think this is the new Nissa, the 5-mana Nissa.
Do you know the Nissa? It is like
it
Worldwaker or no? It's not Worldwaker. It is Worldwaker. I think, right?
Yeah, 3GG Planeswalker.
Wow! So that's really good. Can you? Oh, you can only untap forests. So you can untap Cradle, that would be nuts. But oh no, loyalty 3, so it must be a different Nissa. Nissa.
Oh, this is the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Nissa Vital Force. I really don't know what this card does, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. We're gonna pull up this card, this Vital Force, because this is a very interesting card. The fact that it's a Planeswalker is.
Okay, so Nissa Vital Force, we're going to post it in the chat, but it's 5 mana, 3GG. It starts on 5 loyalty. You can untap any land you control, and then it becomes a 5/5. So I think he might have untapped the Cradle. And then the -3, return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand, and then -6, whenever you get an emblem with, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So... Alright, that's super interesting. I've never seen this card in Legacy before.
Yeah, this is super fascinating, actually. Wow, okay.
So, like, here it's mostly acting as, like, a giant ritual of sorts. Because, you see now on this second Cradle attempt, it's going to tap for way more than, like, 4 or 5 mana, which it tapped for before. And I gotta think that the Elves player is going to find a natural order.
Right.
And we're going to be moving to game 2 shortly.
That is an incredible draw. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we can see how the Elves player is comboing off now. So the Glimpse is still active. So every time the Elves player plays a creature spell, he's drawing a card. That's where he's getting all the gas to find all the creatures that we see in the battlefield.
Okay, looks like he's tapping it. And I wonder how many Nissas he's running, because every Nissa is just plus a bajillion mana now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess mana's not the issue. He just needs to find Natural Order or Crater Hoof, because it's very hard castable at this point.
And he has 14 green mana floating, is that correct?
Some absurd number that's... Okay, looks like he found the Green Sun for Crater Hoof.
Okay.
And the Miracles player's going to scoop him up.
Wow, now that was incredible. You know, typically, like we mentioned earlier, the Miracles deck is better suited to win game 1 against the Elves player, just by you know, fundamental nature of what each deck is trying to do, right? The Miracles deck is trying to lock out, you know, 1 mana spells and, you know, potentially 2 mana spells as well, while the Elves player is trying to combo off exclusively by, you know, playing 1 mana and 2 mana creatures. You know, the Elves player does have a couple other options, as we've seen, you know, very well demonstrated here. But typically I would put Miracles ahead game 1.
So Pika 500 asked if the GP is over already. Yes, it is over. Please do not post any spoilers in the chat. Feel free to go look for yourself. But we're gonna go and cover the last 3 rounds of Swiss as well as top 8, and we don't know what's happened, so we're in suspense. We want to stay that way, but feel free to go check it out if you wish. The GP ended probably around, I would say, like 6 or 7 a.m. Eastern time, and right now it's about 11 a.m. Eastern time. So we were sleeping while the GP was going on.
Right, so Nissa Vital Force, it's not a card you typically see, and in fact,
I feel like I've seen World Waker more than Vital Force.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time I've ever seen Vital Force.
Right.
And, like, I might be wrong about this because I don't really play Standard anymore, but I thought this card wasn't even printed in Standard. It was printed in, like, a dual deck.
No, I think that might be a different
Oh, there's
one.
another Nissa?
Yeah,
okay,
there's another one.
Because it was weird. They printed this Nissa that was, like, not in Kaladesh, but it had the Kaladesh set symbol.
Right, yeah.
So that was weird. Okay, so this is the one that was actually in Kaladesh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, one thing I want to point out is that, our Elves player, he played a very specific card that is actually, very intriguing to me. Typically, Elves decks are base green with a splash of black for cards like Abrupt Decay, but I noticed a third color in the Tropical Island, blue. Mm-hmm. What do you think the Elves player has in his sideboard?
So we already saw Leovold, so that's what the blue's for, but he could also have a card like Flusterstorm, which I've seen. I don't know if he would bring it in this matchup. What do you think?
It's interesting. I mean, there's sort of like a, Flusterstorm could be good, could be bad as well. I personally wouldn't bring it in. I think it's the opportunity that it's...
You're diluting your own deck, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're diluting your own deck, and like you're not really guaranteed to be able to Flusterstorm at the exact right time, especially when you don't have that much manipulation outside of like looping Visionary with Wirewood Symbiote.
Yeah, so I'm definitely expecting some number of Abrupt Decays from the Elves side, perhaps Thoughtseize. Do you think any differently of Thoughtseize, or it's similar to Flusterstorm? It's not worth it.
Now, Thoughtseize is a little bit different. One critical aspect about Flusterstorm is that it does not interact with Counterbalance, in the sense that if the Miracles player plays a Counterbalance, you can't counter that with the Flusterstorm. Mm-hmm. Thoughtseize, on the other hand, is very good on turn 1 because it can go under the Counterbalance. Mm-hmm. Miracles doesn't play any form of acceleration, so they can't really get Counterbalance out before turn 2, which gives Thoughtseize that perfect opportunity to...
Okay, so we might see either of those cards.
Right.
Then from the Miracles side, I don't think there's too much to change. Maybe something like Kozilek's Return. What else would you expect? Pyroclasm.
Yeah, I do like more removal spells, and I like a couple artifact and enchantment removal spells for potential Null Rods, Pithing Needles, and Chokes that could be coming out of the Elves sideboard. One other card that interests me potentially that I've seen before, the blue splash in the Elves deck, could signify something like Swan Song. I think that's been done before.
Okay.
And Swan Song is very good because it also
counterbalance.
Yeah. It stops counterbalance, and does it also counter sorceries?
Yep, instant, sorcery, or enchantment.
Okay, yeah. So there's a wide range, and the 2/2 is largely irrelevant in this matchup for the Elves deck because, well, you're going to kill them, far earlier than a 2/2 bird is going to hit 10 times. So.
Okay, so looks like the Elves player, I think, hit a no-lander, so he's going down to 6. The Miracles player's hand looks pretty strong, pretty ideal.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It has, countertop, force, and I believe a plow, or no?
I didn't get the best look at it, but just having countertop alone in the first 7 cards is very good. And he has the lands to cast it both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
he hit 3 or 4 lands, so I don't remember if he had plow or a 4th land.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having countertop available as early as turn 2 is just really powerful, and it steals a lot of games in Legacy. I mean, you have to imagine that the Elves player will have, some Abrupt Decays from the side deck. Yeah, like we see right here. But... Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good, actually.
If he didn't have the Abrupt Decays, he would have been locked out from a lot of spells from his deck.
So this hand, you have the Symbiote Visionary combo, and you also have a couple answers to counterbalance.
Correct. So this is a hand that'll likely go along where you just bounce Visionary on as many times as you can.
Okay, looks like Miracles player does have the plow, so he has a way to break up the Symbiote combo this time without needing to use a force.
Right. I think Akira drew a natural order for turn.
Okay, so he's actually going to green sun for 0. So he's saying, hey, I need the mana acceleration more than I need the card drawing right now. Right. And I guess he's probably expecting, a decent amount of removal too. So.
Now here's an interesting decision that we have on the Miracle side. I wonder if you take the opportunity to plow Dryad Arbor here and sort of stifle the opponent's mana development, or if you just go out for counterbalance.
Yeah, what would you do?
I personally would play the counterbalance. I think it.
You lost them out on 1s, and so that means they can't do that much with their mana anyways. And you'll see Miracle's player agrees.
Also, your opponent's on a mulligan to 6, so it's just because these are on a mulligan to 6, it seems better to more aggressively try to shut down their draw.
No spoilers, please. I saw something that was spoilerish, so we'll answer any questions about top 8 whenever we get to it. What else was I going to say? But no spoilers, please. We'll see what the Elves player has. Go ahead and fire off the decay.
All right, and that makes sense.
I wonder if he has a follow-up.
Interesting. Okay.
So he wants to see if he wants that card or if he's going to top on his upkeep.
Right.
So that's why he reveals. He doesn't want the land, so he goes ahead and spins his top. Looks like he might draw it anyways, unless he wants a wear tear. He does want the wear tear.
Okay. One thing that's interesting is that I'm not sure how much I like using the Abrupt Decay main phase there if there's no follow-up in terms of casting a spell. I think there's this weird balance that the Miracles player has to preserve in terms of keeping their countertop alive by having the right CMCs on top of their deck versus developing a powerful hand, just so that you can have removal spells and counter magic and threats to win the game. By playing the Abrupt Decay, then you sort of relieve the pressure off the Miracles player.
You give them more information to work with.
Exactly, right, yeah. In other words, Akira could have just waited until, the end step to activate the Abrupt Decay instead, and then the Miracles player wouldn't know whether to, reveal or upkeep spin top, or basically you're giving the Miracles player options, and that's a really dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. So this is interesting too. We see that the Miracles player picks up a Snapcaster Mage, and he plowed the Dryad Arbor, which I know is a pretty annoying card in the matchup. Oh wow, this is a very aggressive use of Source of Plowshares here because it's on Elvish Visionary. That's theoretically could just be a 1/1.
Right.
So it looks like he's really trying to deny Hanma's mana.
Right.
And so I was saying about Dryad Arbor earlier. It's a creature that keeps coming back if you Terminus it because you can keep fetching it out. So that's why he plowed there, and that seems reasonable. But then this Source of Plowshares, it seems a lot iffier.
I'm assuming that we're just really afraid of the Gaia's Cradle, because Gaia's Cradle can only add mana if you have creatures in play.
What do you also think of fetching the plains? Does that indicate anything? Because again, I don't think Elves typically plays any mana denial spells. I guess choke.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have choke.
So then the plains is reasonable because of choke. Okay.
I think for me the ideal mana configuration post board will be like 1 Tundra, 1 Volcanic, and 2 plains. And after that, it doesn't really matter what I fetch. I guess the mountain if I have it as well. But sometimes choke is a real card. Given that given that Akira is playing blue, I'm not sure if he has it. But it's always, I appreciate the respect.
So there you see the Elves player had a chance to Abrupt Decay the top, and he declined, I think is correct.
Right.
And the Miracles player was just doing that to hit his land drop.
Abrupt Decay is an especially powerful card in this matchup because it interacts with Counterbalance, which, can single-handedly shut down the entire Elves deck.
Ooh, looks like we got a Progenitus in the hand.
Nice. Shoutouts to Ross Merriam.
That's the rule, right? When you play Progenitus in your deck, it always finds its way to your hand.
Exactly, yeah. So Progenitus is one of the natural order targets that has protection from everything, so it is immune to something like Swords to Plowshares, but unfortunately not Terminus. And
it's also not great in your hand.
It's also not great in your hand. Theoretically, we could see it get cast if we get like multiple Birchlore Rangers and Deathrite Shamans.
I've never seen that happen.
Me neither. Oh, and that's a good find.
Found another Swords of Pasture.
Yeah.
What is in the Elves player's hand? Is it just a bunch of it looks like he actually wanted to shuffle here. What do you think he's looking for? Like maybe counterbalance or a mentor to try and
yeah, I mean, if you're not satisfied with the Swords to Plowshares or the Deathrite Shaman, the other two cards look like lands, which are not that great. So that's potentially part of the reason. But you know, there are also stronger cards like Jace potentially, Mentor potentially, and Counterbalance that you could.
Looks like the Elves player has a lot of nothing. So this is the problem, right? We talked about all these great sideboard options, but when you dilute your deck too much, it can be an issue. To be fair, though, he's only drawn 2 Abrupt Decays and a Progenitus, which were likely in the sideboard.
Right.
But those all seem like reasonable additions. So it seems like he may have just gotten unlucky to draw too many of these sideboard cards.
Right.
Okay, it looks like he drew a Heritage Druid, so is he going to cycle the Glimpse right here? I think he's debating it.
Yeah, that is an interesting.
Because as an Elves player, right, you want to be putting the pressure on. And actually, a Glimpse here is scary from the Miracles perspective because the Elves player has a lot of cards in hand.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we see this Glimpse of Nature get Force of Willed.
Which would be great.
Right, exactly.
So that was perfect for the Elves player. Yeah. Great trade.
It's like when Show and Tell players cast Show and Tell with no card. Yeah,
it's just too scary.
Yeah, exactly. You just can't let it go through. But no, you are correct about one thing, and that is that post-board, the Elves plan really does switch down against Miracles.
Oh, wow. He's going for Natural Order right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the Miracles player, like, what are his possible targets, right? The Progenitus is in his hand.
Right.
Crater Hoof's really not that good here. It's not bad. It does put a clock on.
Mm-hmm.
He could have something like Rurik Thar, which would be pretty good.
But we haven't really seen red yet, so...
Yeah, you're right. I'd be surprised to see Rurik Thar. Alright, looks like it's going to get forced anyways.
Okay. I mean, worst case scenario, you could also Natural Order for, like, Gaddock Teague or, Leovold or some, like, lesser power cards that would maybe help you accelerate, too. I mean, it's not optimal, but,
sure.
Maybe there's a method or maybe there's something else we're missing.
Yeah, but the Elves player is actually... I wouldn't say he's very far ahead in this position, but he's not far behind either. The Miracles player has a top out and he's only 1 card in hand. So it's close. Very close.
Right. I actually think one good thing for the Elves player is that, for Akira, is that the Miracles, we've seen 2 counterbalances, been destroyed or removed from the game, and that's a really good sign if you don't have to worry too much. Like, there are only 2 more copies left in the deck, and you have an Abrupt Decay from one of them. So, I mean, that's just like, that makes me feel good if I'm in the Elves seat.
It looks like Miracles player is going for E.
Okay. Now, Explosives is very good here.
Finally a 2-for-1. We've seen a lot of, like, 1-for-1 Terminuses.
Right. And I really like this 5th Dawn art. It's so cool.
He doesn't have the 5th Dawn, though. He has the Modern Masters.
He does have the Modern Masters, which is also cool.
Alright, Snapcaster for the beats.
And I will say this, I do think Akira is putting up a good fight. Given how...
Oh, I think he drew another Abrupt Decay.
Okay, alright, that would explain this one then.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But, I mean, moving forward, Bob, what do you think Akira needs to draw to maybe, get back into this game and win?
Weird. I mean, I think just powerful individual threats, like Leovold, or I guess he can't quite cast Nissa yet, but not that far.
Yeah.
Could be good as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, even just drawing into like Visionary into Wirewood Symbiote would be very good.
Sure, yeah, he just needs cards.
Yeah, he needs to just grind his way back into the game.
Uh-huh.
And similarly, I imagine
Okay.
this is what we want from the Miracle side as well. We want, predicts, we want counterbalances, and just
So the Miracles player is being pretty aggressive with his plows and protecting his life total too.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. It's always hard to determine just how aggressive you need to be.
Right.
You don't want to take too much damage, but you also don't want to.
Yeah, because then random things like another Dryad Arbor keeps coming back. It
Right.
could be really annoying.
But the
so
risk
you do
is
want a little bit of a buffer.
right. The risk is that though, if you also don't want to play too aggressively, right? So you want to you want to hit that ideal line where you win with maybe like one life, but it's like a total complete crushing victory. Like life doesn't matter so long as you're alive, but you need to make sure that you stay alive. Now another reason that he could be aggressively plowing is because of the Gaia's Cradle.
Mhm.
Because even something like the Gaia's Cradle is what would allow Akira to even cast something powerful like
Oh, okay, that's a great find.
oh yeah.
So here we see he's gonna go ahead and exile the Aquarian Ranger, and then he's probably going to end up bouncing the Nettle Sentinel, and then that puts him pretty far ahead.
Yeah, really, really far ahead. Just being able to untap with the Jace the Mind Sculptor on an empty board is very, very good news for any Miracles deck. And the crazy thing is, he's not even priced into bouncing the Nettle Sentinel.
Right, he could Brainstorm or Fate Seal. Either one is safe.
Right.
Because even if the other player Abrupt Decays, Jace would still only go down to 1.
Exactly. Yeah. Jace would still survive the attack.
Okay, so he's gonna Brainstorm here.
And brainstorming here is not too bad of an option. What is that? So is that a counterspell in his hand?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, typically, if you get 4 or 5 activations of Jason the Mind Sculptor, the game should almost be unlosable. And I think we're well on that road.
Yeah, L's player is in a really tough spot. I mean, he could decay the Snapcaster, put the Jace down to 1.
Maybe play a fetch land.
Oh, he's another natural order.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So he could Crater Hoof and kill the Jace, right?
That would be 6 against 1. Yeah, that would kill the Jace.
I think he might. Nope. Okay.
All right.
Jace down to 1.
Oh, and that's I like that sequencing. First attack, then use the Abrupt Decay so you can untap your Nettle Sentinel.
The little thing matter in Legacy.
Now that's interesting that we don't. I mean, the Miracles. There was only a mountain up, right? If we natural order for Craterhoof there,
that would have killed the Jace.
That would have killed the Jace. Now, do you think he boarded Craterhoof Behemoth out?
You leave 1 in, right? Typically.
Yeah, I would leave 1 in, but that natural, like the upside of killing Jace is so high. Oh, we've got Regal Force. Yeah.
You want to say what this card does?
Actually, I don't. I know you just draw a bunch of cards for
You draw a card for each creature.
For each green creature, yeah.
Yeah.
And this used to, before Craterhoof was a thing, wasn't Regal Force like...
It was like the quote-unquote kill.
Yeah.
Ooh, looks like the Miracles player found Entreat, so I think it's going to be over...
shortly, yeah.
Okay, so he didn't even bother going for the Entreat. He's fine no matter what, right? Because he gets to hold up Counterspell.
And he has Vendilion Click. Okay. That's an interesting include. I typically don't like Vendilion Click in this matchup because it's got 1 toughness, and that doesn't pair well with all the 1 mana threats that...
So it's not good on defense, but it's pretty good on offense.
Sure, yeah.
But obviously that's not the role you need to be playing, because you have the inevitability.
Green Sun Zenith for 2 here.
So it's just going to be an Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, probably just cycling it.
So I assume he's just going to go for an end step Entreat, and I don't think there's anything else can do.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah, and this Fate Seal is like a huge signal that he feels like he's ready to end the game, so... You know, I'm trying to retrospect and wonder why we lost game 1 as the Miracles player, because we had counterbalance pretty early. I don't think we cast it. And then we gave our opponent time to develop their mana, like hard cast or Reclamation Sage. Either way, this Entreat the Angels.
For it, I think.
Okay.
So that was going to work regardless. Yeah.
Right. Well, Entreat the Angels is going to take game 2 here. Mm-hmm. Moving into the post board, both players will try to recalibrate. So there's so little on the Miracle side that I wouldn't be surprised if he just submits the same 60. Generally speaking, this matchup is so is favorable enough that you don't really need too much to augment your strategy or win the match. Between Terminus, which just like sweeps the whole board of all elves, and Countertop, which prevents you from casting your elves or stops them from entering play, it's pretty good. On the elf side, maybe there's like a 1-2 card reconfiguration. Play draw, I imagine Thoughtseize gets a lot better. So maybe we'll see that.
I don't think he resideboarded.
Okay.
Think of that hand. Lands, stops, predict, click.
I'd keep it.
You keep everything though.
I do keep everything.
Do you think it's on the higher end of keeps or the lower end of keeps?
Personally, it would be on the higher end of keeps for me. You have your combo already your second combo active, which is just dividing top and predict. So you get to draw some cards. I could go on about predict, but I think that's a very powerful start. And generally, post board, the elves matchup, since they dilute their deck, they're more prepared to grind out the matchup. And
so a card like predict gets way better.
A card like predict gets way better because you just get more volume, means you can do more things. And it gets you closer to the counterbalance and the Terminus that are just still in the deck.
So here's an interesting spot. We'll see if he wants to keep committing more cards to the board, and he decides to stop.
Fascinating. Yeah, this is a very, very aggressive start here. I've spoken with Julian Nab a lot. He's probably one of the best Elves players in the world. And game 2 and 3, he always suggests a sideboard strategy of just putting, maybe 3 or 4
power on the board
and just continually beating, but doing it in such a way that you're committing as few resources as possible. So like an Elvish Visionary that replaces itself, and a Wirewood Symbiote that can protect another elf, that sort of thing. And perhaps that's what Akira's plan is exactly. Yeah.
Because now he's beating down for 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 a turn with a Deathrite activation, so it's going to be pretty good.
Looks like we're going to get a different land off the Scalding Tarn. Another thing is, I think I would have, rather than spin top on upkeep, I would have just played my land for turn, and then at the end of turn, tap the top, put it on top, and then predicted it away because I have
another top.
Yeah, because I have a backup in my hand.
3 counterbalances.
Wow.
No choices there.
All right, that is phenomenal. Okay.
But I think he might be going for the Containment Priest to try and eat
one of the creatures.
What do you think?
That's
what he's going for.
I would rather just play Counterbalance.
Yeah, but the thing with Counterbalance is the Elves player is not going to be committing more resources, as we discussed.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. Your hand is
like you can take one more hit, and the next turn you can follow up with Priest.
Right. Like you play one Counterbalance. In fact, you can take more than one hit here. I think you can take 2 hits.
Ooh, so here are the Elves.
Oh, wow. That's
okay.
6 mana?
No. He's attacking, and the Elves player activates Pendelhaven before blocks. So I think that's probably a mistake.
Right.
I think you want to wait to say that he hasn't blocked it, and then you go ahead and activate it.
Right.
Because it looks like the Miracles player is tanking on casting the Priest, and he actually goes for a click instead.
Yeah, and click is better here because Pendelhaven gives
I wonder if he's going to target... Yeah, well, he's going to have like 1 million counterbalances. And his opponent has 1 million decays.
Okay.
So we might say a take of the natural order here if he doesn't have a...
I like taking the natural order here because you have 3 counterbalances and they have 2 decays.
So you're still somehow coming out ahead on this exchange?
Yeah, the math is elementary. And is he attacking with the Deathrite Shaman?
He is.
That's phenomenal too. Okay.
So you could have eaten the Deathrite with the Priest because he didn't even have access to black mana. I think he's either debating taking the natural order or just letting him keep it. And letting him keep it would be fine too because he has the Priest. Although he has decay, So this is kind of an interesting situation, right?
Yeah, there are options.
So you want to like keep throwing out your counterbalances to decay, and so that the decay hits the counterbalance, and then you have a live priest after that. But he saw that that was not going to be fast enough,
right?
So he went ahead and just took the natural order. We'll see which one he trades off with. I would probably trade with Death right here.
I would trade with Death right too. I think it adds
the best creature.
Yeah, it provides way too much value right now in the form of killing the opponent and accelerating with mana and stuff like that.
Do you think we're gonna see like a predict here on the upkeep, or are we just gonna?
I don't know. It would feel really bad to predict away counterbalance in this matchup. Even though your opponent doesn't have black mana, they could draw it, or like play like another.
Maybe else players deciding on committing more or not, and looks like he's deciding to commit. And actually, that's barely a commitment, right?
Right, exactly. This is the kind of commitment that I'm talking about because it replaces itself, and you don't mind if it gets Terminus because that's one Terminus down, and you can just rebuild immediately after.
Yeah, it looks like he is thinking on the predict.
Now I will say, because
he is light on mana.
Exactly, because he's bottlenecked on mana.
Comes counterbalance land.
He's very patient with his counterbalances. He like game one we saw him not play it.
Well, it's also a force of will pitch card right now, and I think we're gonna see well, the flashing containment priest is not good either because of the abrupt decay. Ooh, it looks like he did have Rurikthar after all.
Wow.
So that would have been his target last game, I assume.
Right, no, for
sure.
sure.
I wonder if he named
yeah.
Yeah, he just named
Ogre?
Whatever Rurikthar is, he named it.
Was that right? Is it an ogre?
Ogre Warrior.
Ogre Warrior.
He might have named Warrior. Are there any elf warriors? I think there are. There's like the 2/2 that makes a 1/1.
Yeah. Dwynen's Elite.
Yeah.
I think it's a 1/1 that makes a 1/1, but yeah, you're right.
No, there's a 2/2 that comes with a 1/1. I don't remember what it's called though.
Oh, okay. How much mana does it cost?
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a 1/1 if you control another elf.
Gotcha.
And it looks like the Miracles player is gonna spin his top, which means he shuffled away both counterbalances.
Right. But I think you have to.
He's looking for a way to. He already has a way to counter the Rurikthar. Oh wait, it's uncounterable.
It is uncounterable, yeah.
Oh wow, that's nice. This might be game then, right? Like, what can he really do? He can ambush Viper and soak up 1 damage, but he goes to, and he's gonna go to 7, but then he can't cast any non-creature spells. Effectively, almost.
Well, he can cast
one non-creature spell, so he really needs to find that Terminus or Swords of Plowshares. And Swords of Plowshares is not going to be good enough because he's going to have a leftover board, so it really pretty much needs to be Terminus or bust.
Doesn't look like he has
he can fetch. I think he has to fetch and try and find a Terminus the next turn.
Right, and I think here we're seeing.
He might predict to dig more.
Yeah, that's actually.
That seems like the best play, right? You predict, you dig a couple more cards, you top, and then you fetch if you don't find the Terminus. So I think that should be the line.
Yeah.
And then the Rurikthar is still in the stack, so he doesn't take 6. Yeah.
Six.
This is 4 color elves. 5 if you count Progenitus. Oh wow, so he didn't predict. So he's going for this play instead.
Okay, alright. And he gets to block
one.
But
But again, it doesn't matter. He needs Terminus, and I think this line of play gives him fewer looks to find Terminus.
Did you put the Scalding Tarn on top? He did.
He
okay,
did.
Yeah.
But again, he still needs Terminus, and you're going to lose your Containment Priest this way as well. So I think the predict play was just strictly better because you get more looks.
Yeah, not only does it clear the top of the deck, that buys you an additional 3 cards.
And you don't lose a Containment Priest when you do find the Terminus.
You also get the Scalding Tarn, which gives you an additional 3 cards.
Yeah.
So that's a total of 6 cards that you could see, as opposed to just the 4 that we're seeing right now.
Rurikthar is Vigilant.
It does, yeah. Vigilant,
does it have Trample?
No, it has Reach.
Oh, so because it doesn't have Trample, then you just chump. So you do get a little bit of time, so maybe it's close to equal.
I mean, even if it had Trample, you'd only be getting 1 extra draw step anyway, right? Well, no, you would get a little bit more, but yeah.
So it doesn't have trample?
It doesn't have trample.
Okay.
No. But it must attack every turn if able.
Yep.
It has that clause on it. Which
is fine on a
yeah.
6/6, right? We're talking about legacy
yeah.
here. Alright, looks like he's gonna top for a Terminus. That would save him 2 life.
Mm-hmm. Now this is one thing I learned after playing against Reed.
And he actually just scoops it up.
Okay.
He had a chump and 1 more card to dig.
Yeah, I think I would have waited for that.
Yeah, that was premature. But again, I think he just didn't see the predict line either, and I think that would have dug him more cards.
So yeah, 88888, GG, nice.
So L's beats Miracles. You gonna switch decks now?
No. No, just kidding. Yeah, this is actually really good for the L's player. If I was in his seat, I'd be super happy. You know, it's not every day that you get to beat your hardest matchup. So
yeah,
I'm very well played.
He did have a lot of cards for the matchup, though, right? Well, we saw Decay, we saw Rurikthar, we saw Progenitus. As definitely a lot of natural order targets.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean it's super sweet.
And that was awesome. He hard cast the Rurikthar too, like with the Cavern. Yeah.
I think I feel like game 1, if we had cast Counterbalance a little bit sooner, we may have been able to, you know, do a couple more things.
Like you slow them down.
Yeah. And that may have been enough to buy us a draw step or an extra shuffle to find a Terminus, and you know we could snowball that into a lot of stuff. But it's very hard to say. That being said, you know, very very good job, Akira.
Okay, and the chat makes a good point. He didn't have another turn because the fetch put him at 6 life, and so he can't even cast the Terminus.
Okay.
Well, so he could chump and then cast the Terminus. So he did have. Well, no, it doesn't matter. He has 6 life. Yeah, chumping doesn't matter.
Well, what he was at 7. Yeah. Okay.
So he wouldn't need. He needed the Terminus in the top 3 because he went for the Containment Priest.
Okay. No, you're absolutely right about that. All right, sweet. So we can get to the next round.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna have to do some setup. F11. Do stuff. Pause this. Open the.
Yeah, so there were some recording errors last night in the first round, so we went back to the Nico stream. We should have the rest of